Whether we like it or not, there are definitely habits that sabotage our mental health. And I want to talk about some of the habits that I had to quit in order to allow me to feel better mentally and even physically, but really to allow me to continue to show up in life, achieve my goals, feel better, get fit, get healthy, all of these important things, and live a really good life. Because how are you able to fully be present and enjoy your summer and have good friendships, have good relationships, have a good relationship with yourself when you are doing habits that will make it impossible for you to show up day in and day out? So if you struggle with your mental health or feeling good and feeling in a good mood, then maybe some of the habits that I'm going to share with you today will give you that light bulb moment, make you feel less alone, and of course I'm going to talk about what I do instead. And if you're new here, my name is Alicia Gogan. We're talking all things health and wellness, and also with health and wellness, you can't forget about your mental health. And if you're not new, then welcome back to the channel. Today I have my raspberry tea once again because I am on my period. Raspberry tea is so good for you when you are on your period. And Theo is right under here and he is sleeping, and we are thanking God for that. Okay, so let's talk about the first thing that I really had to get real with myself. And I already knew this, but sometimes life be lifing, and sometimes you like to slack on your own habits, and we shouldn't be doing that. We shouldn't be slacking on committing to ourselves, but sometimes we do it, and that is not having a morning routine, but a very intentional morning routine. Because essentially we always have a morning routine. Every single day that you wake up, you have some sort of routine, but it wasn't a good one. I would wake up and either be on my phone, I would have coffee right away, I would allow my mood to dictate my habits that day, and depending on what I was doing the night before or where I was at mentally, didn't lead me into a new fresh day because I wasn't refreshing my mind. I think we underestimate the importance of sitting down with ourselves, especially in the morning, to get our thoughts right, to get our emotions out sometimes if that's what we need, if we're going through something. Also connecting spiritually if you have any sort of faith. And those practices seriously set us up for so much success throughout the day, whether it's better thoughts about ourselves, better thoughts about what could be possible for us, allow us to have more capacity to show up and decide to make the right decisions for other things in our lives, like our health, wellness, and things like that. If you wake up in the morning and your mind is scattered and you have negative thoughts and you feel like shit and you have no hope, it's a lot easier for you to skip out on some of the things that will also contribute to you feeling better and even having better mental health, like working out, moving your body, eating a good meal, getting out of bed, not scrolling on your phone, connecting to people, places, and things, working on projects, going to school, going to work, getting yourself even out of stressful situations if you're in there. Like, it is so incredibly important. And I really was committed to a morning practice and journaling, affirmations, connecting with spirit, things like that when I was going through the hardest times in my life, and I see how that has absolutely transformed my life. But I think that sometimes even when life is good, we can fall off of things or we forget how amazing it can make us feel. And I just started to realize in my life that I wasn't really committing to myself and God the way that I know makes me feel amazing, and I wanted to feel better in my life, and I was feeling like a lack of motivation and inspiration and even my work ethic, and that was partly due because I wasn't really having any form of practice and centering myself in the morning. And now that I do that, I have gotten such a far way with some of the projects that I've been talking about for so long. When it comes to my work, I feel like I have fresh new ideas. When it comes to my work, I of course am pouring into myself. I feel so much more at peace. I don't feel like I need to constantly be on and burning myself out, because when you slow it down, connect to yourself, connect to the truth of who you are, of what God created you to be and do and whatever, if that's what you believe in, you will typically not continue to go and burn yourself out, and you won't be operating so much out of scarcity and urgency. And it's that small practice in the morning that really will change the course of your day. Now, I want to quickly read a little excerpt from The Mystic Jesus, The Mind of Love by Marianne Williamson. I'll link this book down below along with all my other book recommendations if you are looking to kind of get your mind right a little bit, whether it's spiritually, but I also have other book recommendations on like all other topics. And There is a part in the book where she's speaking of the power of the morning, and it says, when we first awaken, our minds are most open to new impressions. That's when we download the state of consciousness that will dominate our day. We have a scarce responsibility to ourselves to choose wisely what that download will be. If we go straight to social media, for instance, rather than going first to God, it's like eating a bowl of candy for breakfast. Your body doesn't want that, and your mind doesn't want it either. Mornings should be scarce, a time where we ground ourselves in the reverent view of ourselves, our relationships, and the world around us. It's a time to consciously call in the light so darkness does not overwhelm us. And then she goes on to say, particularly given the worldview of today, allowing the ego to be the thing that we listen to first thing in the morning is one of the most self-sabotaging things that we can do for ourselves. In the morning, you are either going to operate from a place of scarcity, of fear, of lack, of limiting beliefs, or a place of love, of appreciation, of gratitude, of faith, of belief that you can have more in your life, excitement, happiness, and unconditional love for yourself and the world. And if you do not have a practice in the morning where you are consciously deciding which place you will operate out of, most likely it will be the one out of fear. And then we wonder why we mentally feel stress, we mentally feel uneasy, we are getting triggered all the time, we have anxiety everywhere. It can definitely be because your foundation is unstable. And this is not to also dismiss that some people might need things to help them with their depression that's more than just like having a morning journal practice, but I'm talking to the ones that just know that, like, you know, having a morning journal practice, it definitely does change your course of your day. So let's get back on it. And that's what I've been doing, and it makes me feel amazing. Not every single day is the same, but I always make sure to have some time in the morning where I quiet the noise around me. I don't consume social media and sit and scroll or listen to a podcast even. I do my best to make it as silent as possible. I'll eat my breakfast, I'll have my coffee, I will go, I'm looking like behind the camera because that's where my balcony is. I'll go out my balcony if it's not freezing cold in the morning, and I'll just sit with myself. Sometimes I'll read a little bit, I will journal, and it just makes me feel so much better. And it always gives me that motivation to go and do the next best thing for myself. And that could be work related, health related, social or relational related, anything. And it just really has changed my life. The next habit that I had to quit was the use of cannabis when not being intentional. And this is something that I had to be honest with myself with when it came to the effects of cannabis. And I know there's so many people who will say, oh, like, you don't get withdrawals from cannabis, or you don't like get like a hangover. If anyone has really like gone on a journey with consuming cannabis, you will know there's definitely a withdrawal period in a way. It's obviously a lot different than other like hard drugs and things like that, but your body definitely gets affected. Like, obviously your body gets affected from everything you put in it, even your mind, the way that you deal with stress, everything. So we are not going to gaslight ourselves over here and say that that has no impact on us. But for me, I could really tell that if I consume it too often and frequently, or at times where it was used as a crutch or for boredom or late at night, all of those things, it never resulted into anything other than my mood actually being kind of worse than it was. One, because I knew intuitively that I was probably making a decision that wasn't for the highest version of myself. But two, I actually would feel my dopamine deplete, and that is definitely a thing. It definitely can deplete your dopamine, so you're going underneath your baseline, and then you're gonna wanna even crave it sometimes more because you're down more. So I just think that when it comes to like your dopamine levels, like to not play with it too much. But also I think it's just more so doing it unintentionally. And the reason why I'm saying unintentionally is there'll be a few times like throughout the year where it actually is fun to do it. I'll do it with someone else. It's like during the day and things like that. But I know now my boundaries. I know what is a no for me. And there's a lot of things for me personally where it doesn't work. I don't smoke right before I go to sleep. For me, it's never been a thing that allows me to sleep. Like it always keeps me up and it keeps my mind going. And so it affects my sleep. And if my sleep is affected, then my mental health is going to be affected because I'm not getting proper sleep. So that's a no for me. If I have things to do, it's going to be a no for me. Like there's just a lot of things, and I also don't touch it if I am emotionally going through things because I feel like I'll be suppressing it. So I'm just bringing this up because I actually do know that there's a lot of people who maybe like it's not an everyday occurrence, you're not smoking every single day, or you have this huge problem, you can go months and weeks without it and things like that, but just kind of reevaluating your relationship towards it if you do consume it. And this could be the same thing with drinking alcohol as well. I think in small doses it could be fine, but in bigger doses absolutely not. And then we might be wondering why we don't feel as stable or why we don't feel as motivated and things like that. Well, how many times throughout the month are we kind of dipping our dopamine levels down a little bit, or even just wasting our time with things that we know internally we might not want to be doing, and maybe it's just for boredom, and is there anything else that we can do to fill up our time? Now, I actually have a podcast episode on that, so if you're struggling with that, I'll leave it down below. I have it on a second channel, the Globe Secrets podcast. But essentially having boundaries with any form of substance, and also communicating that with friends, relationships, like whoever you're around, is important as well. The next thing that I had to quit was doing midday coffees. I would rely on this as well as another form of like a dopamine hit, kind of, because that's technically what caffeine does. Obviously, I love the taste of a good latte and things like that, but this was another thing that I would go into phases where I would rely on it and use that as a crutch to get me through the rest of the day. But realistically, that hit of dopamine is literally the tiniest hit, and it is such short-term gratification for the return on the investment, which is nothing really. It's either you're gonna crash even harder. Pumping yourself with caffeine is not necessarily the best thing, but it's also an appetite suppressant. So that might mean you're pushing off your food now and you're not nourishing your body. And then we're wondering why we don't feel good physically or mentally. It's like we're not even giving our bodies the right nutrients to be able to work properly up in the brain. Like, hello. And I'm just saying hello to like myself. So I just try and remind myself when I ever have that craving for like a second cup of coffee in the middle of the day or like later in the day. It's like, honestly, Alicia, it is just not worth it. It's not even worth the money if you're gonna go out and like get a second cup all the time. Like that can rack up a bill as well, but you can deal with this discomfort a little bit. You can do it. It is not going to be that hard. Whatever it is that you're trying to do, you can do it without that second cup of coffee. And maybe is there something else that your body actually needs? And it's always something that my body actually needs. Like at that point, my body needs lunch or dinner, or my body needs more water, because I definitely did not drink enough water that day. Now, I'm a very balanced person as well, so I don't have any hard and fast rules. So even when it comes to caffeine, if I'm out with my boyfriend, we had like coffee in the morning, we did our morning routine, but we're out, we're shopping, we go to Nespresso because we did that the other day in Yorkville, and they will give you, if you ask them, they will literally give you like a cup of Nespresso, like whatever pod you want. I think if you buy something, but I don't even know if you have to buy something, but anyways, they'll give you a latte or whatever you want, and I will have one, and I'm not gonna stress about it because it's like a little sweet treat. It's a new coffee shop, it's whatever. Like I am all here for being more intentional and really using some of these things in different ways. And I think the best thing that I've learned in my life when it comes to even like the cannabis, even the not having a morning routine or caffeine or any of the other things that I'm going to talk about, it's typically a lot better to do any of these things when you're doing it with other people or you're around a regulated nervous system. And what I mean by that is, I personally think, and I've just seen this with myself, it is so much more fun to, during the day, I'm going to a concert or I'm going to a day thing and me and my friend just decide like, let's smoke a little bit of a joint. Like that is so fun. And you're going out with your friend and you're laughing, you're having the best time ever and this, that, and it's a vibe. Like that to me is so fun versus you bed rotting at home. Here we go again, we're gonna smoke, and then you're binging on a bunch of food, you feel like shit afterwards, and then you knock out and the next day you kind of feel like foggy. I don't necessarily think that's the best use of that. But again, it's just kind of the right time, the right place with the right people. Same thing with caffeine. The next thing that I had to quit was not getting into bed at the proper time. Okay, if you really struggle with sleep, I'm gonna give you a few hacks. And I know it can't be like pretty imperfect and happen all the time, but as much as you can, maybe try and implement some of these things. One is to get into bed way earlier than you think that you need to. Now, this might be difficult for the ones who get home really late and then they go straight to sleep. Like, you just have to go to straight to sleep. Like, that's just kind of what it is. But the ones who maybe you work a 9 to 5 or you work for yourself or whatever, and you have a few hours in your evening before you go to sleep, obviously do what you need to do. But what I realized was, let's say I had the goal to sleep at 10 p.m. In my head, I'm like, okay, like I'm gonna start doing my night routine at 9:30 and I'm sitting on my phone and I'm watching my shows and I'm dilly-dallying. 8 o'clock, 8:30, maybe I'm having my freaking yogurt bowl at 9 p.m. and then I finished it all and whatever, and now it's like 9:30 and I'm like, okay, I need to go to sleep, like I need to sleep at 10. For me personally, that doesn't work because I just ate my food so close to when I go to sleep, and that kind of keeps me up, so that's one. But I didn't give myself enough time to do my little closing shift, which is like literally 10 minutes. I just make sure that my dishes are clean and everything is kind of picked up. It takes 10 minutes, and I usually am always doing that because when you wake up in the morning with a clean space, it just feels so nice. So I do that, and then I gotta brush my teeth, and I have to floss my teeth, and I have to wash my face, and then I take my magnesium and do all these things. And then lo and behold, it's 10:15 and I'm not in bed yet. Then I get into bed, and I personally need like a second to kind of like chill and like set myself up into the vibe of falling asleep. So sometimes I'll be on my phone, maybe I'm like texting or I'm talking to my boyfriend, or like I want to read a book or something like that, and then we're getting to like 10:45 and now it's 11 p.m. and then 11 p.m. I'm putting my head down and I'm still not getting to sleep until maybe 11:20. That is not going to work for me because I wake up super early, and then that's not giving me enough time to actually sleep, and then I'm wondering why my mental health is in shambles. Because personally for me, and for a lot of people, if you do not get enough sleep, your mental health is not going to be good. So what I try and do is have like a set time, and this is not perfect because not every single day is the same, especially on the weekends it's a little bit different, but I try and strive for like 8:30 everything be done, and I'm basically transitioning into my bed around that time. And this is what I do. I still sometimes will watch my show if I'm watching like Below Deck or Love Island, or if I'm on my phone a little bit, but it gives me enough time to do that, and then I'm kind of done it by like 9-ish, 9:15, 9:30, and I'm kind of like over the being on my phone. I'm over watching my show. I'm saying goodnight to my boyfriend, and then I'm getting a little tired and I'm actually ready to sleep at 10 o'clock. So whatever routine that you're on, try your best to start everything a little bit earlier than you have and see the difference. But really, it's about committing and knowing that if you want good sleep to have good mental health, you're gonna need to have some boundaries, and you're gonna need to get up at a certain time and get ready to go to sleep. Now, two things that have really helped me with sleep alongside of the timing thing is, one, taking magnesium. I have been taking magnesium for maybe like a solid 3 months, and it has literally been the only supplement that has actually allowed me to achieve a deeper sleep cycle, essentially. And I've always struggled with sleep for many reasons. I am a light sleeper. I struggle sometimes falling asleep because my head can be racing. Like, this is how I've always been throughout my life, through different traumas that I've gone through and unsafe environments and things like that. So I've had to really work on this, and I'm so much better than I used to be. But that has really helped me calm my body, and magnesium is so good for you. And we're so depleted in magnesium in so many aspects. It's also good for your cramps if you're on your period, but there's different types of magnesium for different things. So you wanna look into it. There's even magnesium for if you are constipated, which is different than the magnesium that you would ideally wanna take for sleep. So I can link the one that I take down below. It's from CanPrev. It's only available in Canada though. But I know Moon Juice has really good ones, but anyways, it doesn't really matter. Just go to your health food store, and you can even ask the person that works there what's the best magnesium. Right now I'm taking it powder form, and this is where I will take it around 8:30, and this kind of signals to my body that it's ready to go to sleep. And another thing, and I've always talked about this, is guided meditations. I will link the page that I've been listening to on YouTube recently, but it's so great if you go to sleep and your mind just keeps going. You're always thinking about a million things, even if you're really tired. Listening to somebody else's voice, and also doing somatic practices, which is what these guided meditations really do. It kind of makes you aware of your body, how it's feeling, your toes, your fingers, the sounds, everything. Like obviously there's a bunch of different ones and you can type them in on YouTube, but they're really, really helpful. And they usually have like background noise that's like white noise. And for me, that really, really helps me. And even if I wake up in the middle of the night for whatever reason, I will put that on and then I fall right back to sleep. So if you really struggle with falling asleep, I highly suggest doing those guided meditations. And it's just changed my life so much. Sleep in general, really getting that down pat, because at the end of the day, like the moodiness that I experience when I don't get proper sleep is ridiculous. The way I feel like shit the next day when I don't get sleep is just like, it's just a drag, and nobody wants to be like that. Like nobody, why do we want to live life feeling so depleted? And when you're depleted and you don't feel good mentally, you're not gonna make the best decisions for yourself. Of course you're gonna wanna bed rot. Of course you're gonna wanna procrastinate things when you have no energy. And the last thing that I had to quit doing was constantly always working and never taking days off and never having a social life and never prioritizing things outside of work. And you would think, being somebody who works for themselves, and I'm a YouTuber and I'm a podcaster, like, oh, you probably like have this like cool, amazing, beautiful, balanced life. Well, listen, I basically do now, but I've had to work so hard on that. And I was absolutely struggling mentally by constantly always working and doing and not having boundaries and not having an off time, whether it's during the week or on the weekends. I'm no longer going to be filming, or I'm no longer going to be editing, or I'm no longer going to use every single second of the day to do something when it comes to self-improvement or work related. Like it doesn't need to be work, but maybe it's like you're constantly self-improving, or maybe you're going to allow yourself like one day out of the weekend to not go to the gym and like go out for a hike with your boyfriend or your friend or something else. That's something different. Like you need to live a more full life. And I think that this really comes down to the core of a lot of mental health issues, is that we are disconnected and we are alone and we have anxiety and we are stressed and we need community. We need people. We need to get outside. We need to go live our lives. We need to stop obsessing over one thing. We need to stop living on social media and scrolling and wasting our time. And this will take a while because it depends on, you know, do you have friends? Do you have a social network? What do you like to do? Do you have any hobbies? How much time do you even have? You know, everyone's different. I've definitely had periods in my life where I basically was committed to working because I had to grind on the weekends. I was serving and, you know, working even on my social media and things like that. So I understand that sometimes people can't just have like a free-for-all weekend and maybe you don't have a lot of money and this, that, but there's ways around everything. Do not strip yourself the joys, the small little joys of life, and allow yourself to romanticize it. Allow yourself to make a plan with a friend, or simply just say, you know what, tomorrow morning, Saturday morning, I'm gonna allow myself to just journal, have my coffee, and I'm gonna watch some TV, if that's what you wanna do. Like, give yourself a break and you will feel so much better over time. So with that said, I am very interested to know what habit you had to quit or you're working on quitting that has helped your mental health, or you see is sabotaging your mental health and you're really trying to work on obviously getting out of it. I'm just very, very curious. Those were some of the main big themes and things in my life that really did play a role, and I had to be real with myself about it. I feel like for so much of that time, I kind of downplayed it. I kind of pretended like those weren't the reasons or it wasn't that big of a deal. But once I actually was like, you know what, let me just try and see. Let me just try and see how good I feel when I don't have that midday coffee over a consecutive amount of days. And I feel so much better. I feel so much better because I'm eating more. I'm nourishing my body more. I'm drinking water. I'm drinking my teas, whatever. And I'm still drinking my coffee in the morning, that's fine. But you know, like I'm more balanced that way. Or not smoking just whenever I feel like it and having more intention behind it. I feel so much better. It lights me up so much more. I feel so much more clarity. I don't have those dopamine dips. Or when it comes to my morning routine, I look forward to that. It grounds me, it keeps me centered, and I have been so much more productive in my life because I have that. And even when it comes to my weekends, I feel like I'm actually living a fulfilled life. I'm getting out in the world. I'm not just focusing on one aspect of my life and driving myself into the ground. It's a great place to be, and in turn, my mental health has been the best it's ever been. So with that said, I want to hear your thoughts, comments, things like that, and let me know what you want to see next. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.